Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, Cooking for the Family. I'm Dyvonne, and today I'm going to share with y'all how I make my lasagna from scratch. You ready? Let's get started. So these are the ingredients that we're going to be using. I have some garlic, some basil, some parsley, which actually came from my garden. I have an egg, some grated Parmesan cheese, some mozzarella cheese. I have some ricotta, olive oil, some Italian sausage, and we are going to put this all together so nice, y'all. So what I have here is I have one package of Italian sausage. I'm using the one, it'll say sweet on it. The sausage isn't sweet, but they only have it'll say sweet, or they'll have the one that says hot and so or spicy. And so this is the one that's labeled as sweet. And so I'm using the one pack of the Italian sausage. Now I'm using the Italian sausage, but you can also use a pound of ground beef, or either you can use a pound of ground turkey, or you can totally leave the meat out entirely if you choose to. Now, once I've removed my Italian sausage from the casings and I cut them up into about, say, an inch size, inch and a half size is what I cut my sausage up into. And then we're going to go ahead and let this cook. Now, while our sausage is cooking, I'm going to prepare our other ingredients. Now, in the description box below, I will have a list of all the ingredients you need to make this delicious lasagna from scratch. But what I'm going to share with you and show you how to take those ingredients to make this wonderful lasagna. So I've used one white onion, and then with my one white onion, you only need about a cup to a cup and a half of white onion, and you want to chop your pieces about, say, dime size to nickel size, but not too much bigger than that. You want to kind of keep them more in that dime size. Then I'm going to be using my cloves of garlic, and I have here 6 cloves of garlic. You can use about 6 to 8 cloves of garlic, just kind of depending on if your garlic is like a small size. I just go on and I just mince my garlic. Then I'm going to use my parsley. I have flat leaf Italian parsley that I'm going to be using, and we'll need 1/3 cup of our nice fresh parsley. And if you're using dried parsley, you want to use 2 tablespoons of dried parsley. In the description box, I will have the notation if you're using fresh parsley or if you're using dried parsley when you're going to make the lasagna, as well as with the basil, if you're using fresh basil or if you're using dried basil. I'm going to set aside 2 tablespoons because 2 tablespoons of parsley is going to go in our ricotta cheese mixture. And then we're still going to go ahead and chop up and have 1/3 cup to go in our pasta sauce that we're making. Making this meal brings back so many memories for me. I was taught how to make this lasagna when I was 17 years old by my best friend's mom. She taught me how to make this lasagna recipe. I have been making it off and on throughout the years, and it always comes out so great. And this is going to be enough to feed 8 to 10 people. You can also make 2 smaller lasagnas and then bake one off for dinner, and then the other one you can wrap and then freeze in your freezer to bake off at a different time when you need just to take something out of the freezer and just make dinner for the family. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the basil. I went on and I chopped up the parsley in nice small fine pieces. I'm going to do the basil the same way. We're going to need 1/3 cup of fresh basil. If you're using dried basil, we'll need 1 tablespoon of dried basil. I'm going to go ahead, set our basil and our parsley aside. I'm going to check on our sausage to see how it's doing. It should be browning up and looking good. Our sausage is looking good. It's just about done. And then once it's done, we're going to go ahead, take the sausage out of our pan. And then I'll share with you the next step, which is going to be to start to build our sauce so we can get our sauce on and it can start to simmer. So once I take the sausage out, we have some drippings and we're going to leave those in the pan. I'm going to add about 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil, add it in my onion, and we're going to let our onion cook on a nice low temperature until they just kind of soften up a bit. And we also start to lift up some of our bits from the bottom of our pot as well. Now once our onion are nice and soft and they start to get that translucent look, then I add in the chopped garlic, and I have my flame on that medium to low heat, and we're going to let our garlic just kind of cook for about 1 to 2 minutes. Now this is the sauce that we're going to be using. I'm using this brand. You can use whatever brand that you prefer. And I'm using 1 can of crushed tomatoes. and 2 cans of puree. And as you see between the crushed tomatoes and the puree, they look pretty much the same. So I just kind of use them interchangeably, but you definitely want to have the 3 cans that you want to use. I'm going to put all the 3 cans inside of my pot. Again, my flame is still on that same medium to low heat, because when it comes to making your sauce, you want to build it gradually. It's not something that you want to have a high flame on and do a high flame the whole time. You want to have it on a medium to a medium-low heat. We will crank up our heat just a little bit, just to start to get it to start to boil a bit. Then you want to bring your flame down, because the sauce, it comes out so good. It needs just that little time to simmer. And so what I do is I add some salt in, and we're going to be seasoning it throughout the process of making our sauce. But I start with a teaspoon of salt, and I was using kosher salt, and I also have black pepper, and I added about 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper. I go in and I mix the black pepper and our salt in with the garlic and the onion. I'm going to put the top on my pot. I'm going to just turn my pot up just a little bit, and so that way it can start to boil a bit. We want it to really start to get a nice little boil on it, and it's going to be popping. So you see how the sauce is popping? So be careful when you take your top off, because your sauce will be popping. When you see your sauce popping and its sauce is really starting to get going like it is now, give it a nice stir. Go ahead, turn your pot down now to that medium-low heat. I turned it up a little bit to get it really going. I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to let our sauce simmer. And while our sauce is simmering, we're going to work on our ricotta cheese mixture. I'm going to grate our cheese, and this is the cheese that I like to use, the mozzarella cheese, and we're going to use 3 cups. So you can either do the pre-grated cheese if you like. I like to go ahead and grate my cheese, and so but either one is going to work just fine in the recipe. And we're going to need 3 cups, give or take, of a 1/2 cup, but about 3 cups of grated mozzarella cheese total. If you have a little bit more, you can add a little bit more, kind of depending on your preference. Now, to a large bowl, we're going to put in our ricotta cheese. I'm using the whole milk. You can use the whole milk ricotta, or you can use the skim milk ricotta. This is a 32-ounce container of the ricotta cheese. And once you put your ricotta cheese in your big bowl, you want to go ahead and start pushing it down, so we can start to integrate the other ingredients in the bowl with the ricotta cheese as well. So next, what I do is I get my Parmesan cheese. This is grated Parmesan cheese, and I put in 1/3 of a cup of grated Parmesan cheese, and it was the kind that comes in the shaker. Then I added in 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper, and then we're going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And that was kosher salt that I was using, but if you have table salt, that'll work just fine. Next, I add in 1/2 cup of our grated mozzarella cheese. The mozzarella cheese we grated, you want 1/2 cup of that. Then go ahead and mix all of those ingredients together, which are the ricotta cheese, the grated Parmesan cheese, the mozzarella cheese, the salt, and the pepper. Once you have all of those, and you want to make sure that you don't see any clumps of anything, that the ricotta is really nice and smooth, then you want to give your ricotta a taste. We're tasting it for seasoning. So you season this to your taste. So once I tasted it, it tasted good. We didn't need to add any more. I usually like about 1/2 teaspoon. And so, but you want to season it up to your family's taste. Then we add the egg. So you definitely want to taste it first before you add your egg to your mixture. What the egg is going to do is it's going to help the ricotta and our cheese and our mixture hold together in the layers. And so that way when we bake it, it doesn't end up spreading everywhere. It holds together better, and that's that 1 egg. Then those 2 tablespoons of fresh chopped parsley that we set aside, we add that as well to our ricotta cheese mixture, and you mix that all together. This is going to go in our layers, and this is what you want it to look like. And when I said for your mixture to be smooth, I was referring to it to be all well mixed together. And that's what you want. Now I'm going to put this in the refrigerator. It's going to sit in the refrigerator until we're ready to put together our lasagna. Our sauce is coming along so good. It is smelling so good in the kitchen. Our kitchen smells like a nice Italian kitchen. And so once our sauce is coming together, it's looking good, then I go ahead, after it's been simmering for a minute, I go ahead and now I add in my parsley and my basil because we're about at the end of our sauce simmering. And so once I add in the parsley and the basil, I go ahead and mix everything around. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and give it a nice taste because we want to see where we're at with our seasoning. Now I know how I like to season it up. I'm going to add another teaspoon of the kosher salt, and I'm going to add a couple more dashes of my black pepper. And if you want your sauce to have a little kick to it, you can add some crushed red pepper. And you can add this to your taste. Usually about a couple of pinches is good. But then again, like I said, just go ahead and add that to your taste. But this is what our sauce is looking like. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some sauce to the side because I'm going to save some sauce because this is plenty of sauce for the lasagna that we're going to be making. So you can save some sauce to the side for two reasons. One, I save about 2 cups of sauce to the side, and that is going to be if you want to have some garlic bread or some bread on the side, then you have a little sauce to dip, as well as when you go to warm up your lasagna the next day and you want a little bit of extra sauce on your lasagna, you'll already have some sauce to the side. And in addition to that, I'm going to be saving some of this sauce. The sauce that I put to the side is going to be for my homemade pizza that I'm going to make later in the week. Now in the description box below, I'll put a link to my homemade pizza crust. And this is great sauce for that homemade pizza crust. So I have a full box of lasagna noodles, and we're going to cook our noodles according to the package directions. And we want to cook our noodles to al dente because when we put our lasagna together and we bake it, the noodles will absorb some of the sauce and they will continue to expand. And so you want to be mindful that you don't want to overcook your noodles when you're boiling them in the water. Also with your noodles, make sure that you kind of move them back and forth to keep them separated so that way they don't stick together when they're boiling. Well, our noodles look good. I have cooked them to al dente. They are nice and al dente. They're looking good. They're not overcooked, and so they have come out nice. I'm going to go ahead and drain them. I'm going to drain them, but I'm not going to rinse them because I do want the sauce to just adhere really well to my lasagna. I have put olive oil throughout my 10 by 15 inch pan, and this is a deep pan, so it's about 3 inches or so deep. And then I spread the bottom with my sauce. Then I start to layer my lasagna noodles. Now my lasagna noodles, because I didn't rinse them, they're going to be a little bit tacky, okay? And that's what I'm looking for. That's what I want. I want them to be a little bit tacky because like I was mentioning, I really want the sauce to stick and I want everything to really just hold up nicely. And in the description box, I will have the layers, the order of the layers in the description box. I'll put the orders that the layers are going to go in, going from the bottom up, because that's how we're building the lasagna, from the bottom up. So once we put the one layer of sauce, then we put down our lasagna noodles, then we put our sauce. We're going to put some sauce on top of the bottom lasagna noodles. We're going to put some sauce. Now once I put the sauce on the bottom, and I try to just even it out as best as I can, then next what we're going to do is we're going to put our ricotta and cheese mixture. So we've taken it out of the refrigerator now, and we're going to go ahead and put our ricotta and cheese mixture down. When you're putting your ricotta and cheese mixture down, you're going to have 2 layers of ricotta and cheese. And also, if you are still with me at this point, please comment down below and let me know, Dyvonne, I stuck with you through making the lasagna. I'm here. And when you're putting the when you're putting the cheese mixture and the ricotta and cheese mixture down, if you end up lifting up a little bit of the sauce, don't worry, it's still going to be great. And so next what we're going to do is I put down some mozzarella cheese, about a half a cup. About a half a cup to about 3/4 of a cup is what I put down with the layers of the cheese. And so once I do that, then we're going to go ahead, I repeat the next layer. Once I do that second layer, then we do the third layer. So I have 2 layers of the ricotta that I've done. That's the second layer right there that I'm now covering with the rest of my lasagna noodles. And to note, we did use all of our ricotta and cheese mixture. We used half of it for one layer and we used half of it for the second layer. And so now we're doing our final layer. Our final layer is with our lasagna noodles covering our cheese. And we're going to use the balance of our sauce that we have left in our pot to put on the top of our noodles. This is our final layer of sauce. While I'm putting together our lasagna, I have my oven is preheating on 375 degrees. We're going to be covering our lasagna with some foil, and it is going to bake in our oven for about 30 to 35 minutes because remember we have our ricotta cheese mixture that we want to start to become nice, hot, and bubbly. It came out of the refrigerator. And that will take us about 30 to 35 minutes because you also want to make sure that your lasagna gets nice and hot in the middle as well. So once I have all of our sauce, the rest of our sauce there, then I top it with about a cup of cheese. And then when it comes to the cheese, you can put as little as you like or a little bit more, but usually about 3/4 a cup to a cup of cheese is typically what I put around the top and all around the sides and the edges, just like that. And now you see the little corners, how I have a little bit of my lasagna noodles is sticking up on the corner. What I'm going to do is I just take my spoon and I just kind of tuck those down just like that and just kind of go around and I kind of tuck them down. I want to have them more even with the pan instead of sticking up above the pan, so that way it keeps them from getting burned. And so you just kind of want to tuck them down a little bit. And so then I take my foil. With my foil, you want to kind of have it tinted in the middle so that way your cheese doesn't stick. Well, our lasagna has been cooking in the oven for 30 minutes now. I'm going to go ahead and take the foil off, see what it's looking like. Oh my goodness, y'all. Do you see this? Do you see how our lasagna, it is nice and it's hot? You see it's bubbling around the edges. The cheese is melted. Now, the family likes it a little bit browner, so I put it back in the oven for about 5 to 8 minutes with the foil off and just let it kind of brown up a little bit. And that's just our preference. So that's kind of like depending on if you want to do that or not. Then I went on and I sprinkled a little bit of parsley on top. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut us up a nice corner piece right here. The cheese is all nice and melty. It is smelling good. It is looking good. I have made a Caesar salad for dinner tonight to go with this. And this is plenty lasagna for 8 to 10 people. My sister's family will be joining us and having some lasagna for dinner tonight as well. You can always just have it for just like 4, 5, or 6 people. The rest of lasagna, once it's cooled, you can go on ahead and wrap it and freeze it. And so then when you're ready, you can go on and just warm it up in the oven if you like. But I have scooped us up our lasagna. This is what it's looking like. I'm going to go ahead, cut into this so we can give it a try. I'm going to get your bite ready. This first bite right here, this bite's for you. Go ahead and take your bite. Now I'm going to take my bite and see how we did today. Y'all, I am so appreciative of my best friend's mom showing me how to make this lasagna recipe all those years ago. Well, I hope you've enjoyed spending time with me today in my kitchen. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I invite you to hit that subscribe button. It's free. If you like this video, don't forget to show it some love. Give it a thumbs up. Click share. Share this video with a friend or family. Don't forget to click that notification bell so you can come back and visit me again in my kitchen. And remember, it's always good when Dyvonne is cooking for the family. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.